Hey YouTube, it's Jeff at Darkmoon Metals. Have you ever just woken up one morning and knew exactly what you were going to do for that day and then get completely derailed? Well, the same thing kind of happened to me. I had purchased a quick change tool post. I bought it off of eBay, and this is going to be for the Atlas lathe. The video I was planning on shooting today was making a new base plate that'll fit in the T-slot for the lathe. I don't want to use the one that it came with. I don't want to modify it. I would rather make my own from scratch. Simple. I just want to kind of have more hands-on time with the milling machine. I enjoy using it, and I want to make something from scratch rather than modify something that came with the tool itself. As it turns out, I found out that the piece of material I had earmarked for it wasn't what I needed. So I have to get another piece of material before I can go ahead and make the project. Which leaves me with, what the heck am I going to do today? Well, as luck would have it, I have two things that came in off of eBay on the same day. I wasn't expecting either one of these to arrive for a couple of days, so it's kind of nice. And each one of these represents a project that I want to shoot on video. So I have labeled one black and I have labeled one red. And we are going to play a little bit of washer roulette to see which project I do today. And we get black. All right, my friend, we will put you aside for another day. And inside, very well taped in. Is an antique wrench. Now the first thing I'd like to say right off the bat is this video was inspired by Chandler Dickinson and a video that he made on his channel. He made himself a new blacksmith's twisting wrench. And you may have saw a video I did a while back where I suggested using something like this as a blacksmith's twisting wrench. This is a Greenfield number 7, and it can handle up to over a ½ inch capacity. So if you're not bending or twisting very heavy material, this works very well. You get a lot of even leverage. You can pretty much control how much it wobbles. You can keep things relatively straight. But a lot of people will make their twisting wrenches out of one of these guys. Now, you can make one. What they usually do is, as Chandler did, he welded a piece of, I might have been rebar, I can't remember exactly what he used, but he welded a piece of rebar to make another handle here. But the kind of wrench that he had, the specific wrench, I don't have one like that. As you can see, I have a couple of different varieties of old wrenches here, and I've seen many of these made into twisting wrenches. But Chandler's was made like this one. This is what I got off of eBay. In fact, I bought it about 10 minutes after I finished watching his video. Now the difference between these two wrenches is how they are cast. Not just the size, but how they're cast. If you notice, this casting has a reinforcement that goes across the top, and it has a track that ends here. The one that Chandler was using was made just like this, and I was watching him weld it, but it actually gave me another idea. I'm going to show you how to turn this into a twisting wrench without the need for welding. By now you're probably wondering how I'm going to do this without welding. Well, we do need a couple of things. You also might be wondering why someone who is a welder is trying to avoid welding something together. Well, the simple answer is not everybody on YouTube has access to a welder. And that's been pointed out to me on numerous occasions by some of my subscribers. So I'm going to put this together using some various machining techniques, and it's not going to be anything elaborate. You're going to need a drill press and you're going to need an angle grinder. That's it. If you have a belt sander, sure, that might come in handy too. But as far as I know, a twisting wrench has never been assembled like this on YouTube. So this might be a YouTube original. I mean, dare I say that this could be something that's never before seen on YouTube. And it came from my brain. So obviously to put this thing together, you're going to need a couple of wrenches. And you are going to need a wrench like the one that I showed you that doesn't have any kind of obstructions up top. The next thing you're going to need is a piece of round stock, something that feels kind of nice in your hand. And it's going to be roughly the same length as the wrench. You can make this any length you want. In fact, it doesn't have to even matter at this point. You can cut it to whatever length you want after we're done with this process. Now we are going to be using a drill press, and we are going to be using a 4-inch angle grinder for this project. The first thing that I need to do is I have to get ready to tap a couple of holes, and I'll explain why in a second. So I'm going to take my little metal ruler here. I'm going to measure with the wrench fully closed the distance between the top of this jaw, or the back of the jaw rather, to the top of the wrench. And that is just about, in this case, we're going to say 1 inch. I'm going to come down to my round stock. Move a little bit more in frame here. And I'm going to mark 1 inch. It does not have to be precise. The next thing I'm going to do is take this over to the drill press, and I'm going to drill 2 through holes to accept, in this case I just happen to be using 5/16 by 18 by 16th long socket screws, Allen heads. So I'm going to go drill those 2 holes off camera. Alright YouTube, I ended up drilling and tapping these 2 holes off camera. You've all seen people drill and tap holes before, so I figured I'd save you guys a couple of minutes. The next step is you want to draw a line roughly down the center of your round stock. Doesn't have to be precise. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with the angle grinder with a cutoff disc, and I'm going to make a channel roughly to the back of this line. And as you can see, it stops just behind my 2 holes. The way I have this set up in the vise, I've got the holes to either side so I can see my line from on top. And by the way, before you start using your angle grinder, hint, hint, yeah, there you go, okay. I just finished up my cut, and you are going to have to go in repeatedly with the cutoff disc to widen the channel a little bit. And the reason you are trying to widen it is you want it to fit on top of the wrench, and you want it to be, it doesn't have to be super snug, but you don't want to have a lot of slop in there either. Alright folks, once we're at this point, what we want to do is shave down this material and this material, so this will slide and rest up against the top of this jaw slide when we're done. And for that, I'm going to use the abrasive grinding disc with the 4-inch grinder. The way I'm going to do this is I'm going to come in on one side and remove material up to a point. I've got it marked. And then I'm going to roll this over in the vise and do the other side. I'm not going to go from one side to the other, simply because this wheel rotates in one direction. I want it to throw sparks down, not straight up. So I'm going to work on one side, roll it over in the vise, and then work on the other. Now your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to make this fit as snug as you possibly can. And this is pretty snug. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in the vise, clamp it down. I'm going to take my dead blow hammer, just send it home. And there you have it. Alright, let's go back over to the welding table. Alright YouTube, so the last step is of course to put in the Allen screws. I'll tighten these guys down. Now I remember mentioning in the beginning of the video that this was originally inspired by Chandler Dickinson when he was making his twisting wrench, and he was using a welding method to attach the handle. Now, like I said before, I'm also a welder, and you know, I like welding, and a lot of people don't have access to a welder. So is this going to hold? You know, this is the first time I put this wrench together. It's never been tested, but this is pretty damn strong. I can't get it to move in either direction. Now, what inspired the whole thing with the Allens was the quick change tool post that came in for the lathe. Because if you look at all the accessory holders, and this happens to be one of them, I've got it in the bag because it still has the oil on it, you'll notice that these holders use Allens to keep the bit in place on the lathe. And my thought was, well heck, if they're strong enough for that, they're gonna be strong enough for this, especially if you get your fit up right. So, like I said before, I believe that this is the first bending wrench of its kind on YouTube. The handles are perfectly aligned, which is not the case when you have a welded on handle. There is no offset here. And you don't have to worry about welding on a piece of material and changing the temper of your antique wrench. Which means if you drop it, whatever temper the wrench had when you got it, it's still there. You're not altering that at all. And the benefit I like about this the most, and it's in its simplicity, if I ever wanted to, all I have to do is remove 2 Allen head screws, wobble this back and forth, might have to hit it up and down with a hammer a couple times, but I can get this handle off and I can use this wrench in its original configuration. I have not modified an antique, I have not destroyed the tool, and if I want to pass it on to someone else the way it was in its original condition, I can go ahead and do that. You didn't think I was going to make that and not take it out for a test drive, did you? And I would say that it was pretty successful. And the one thing that impressed me, I did not straighten this on the anvil at all. And it stayed pretty true. It's just one of the advantages of being able to have your handles in line. So, would I recommend making this particular type of tool? Yes, but I would also recommend a couple of changes. I just went on eBay and found a wrench at random. I was looking for something that was the same style that Chandler had used in his video. Now, this is a 9-inch wrench, and I can guarantee you that the one that Chandler had was a lot bigger, a lot beefier. And while I didn't have any problems with the handle moving during the twist, what I will mention is the bigger wrench that he had, it seemed to have more of a lip up here where I could have made this channel bigger and moved the handle further down onto the wrench. And obviously, the more material you can get onto the wrench, the easier it's going to be as far as leverage, and you're going to more evenly distribute that leverage. So if you're going to do this, I'd recommend going out and trying to find at least a 12-inch wrench, or maybe something that's got just a little more meat on top. But, oops, as far as the concept, it seems to work pretty good. On that note, I am going to end the video. I'm going to call this one a success. I am going to go in the house and enjoy some dinner with Verid. Until I see you guys again, this has been Jeff at Darkmoon Metals. Take care.